to this video on UFC 315 main card, getting straight into it. Jose Aldo versus Zahabi. Obviously, first fight in the main card of this fight. Zahabi, great win streak currently, but hasn't faced this level yet, I don't think, of Aldo. Former champion, obviously, a while ago. And great fighter, great experience out there. You know, come down from his championship days quite significantly, but enough to still be in top, I'd say 10, 11 fighters in the division. Come down in weight as well from his title winning days. But look, Jose Aldo's coming off a loss. It wasn't a defining loss. I think there's a lot of stalling from his opponent in his last fight. The experience, I think, you know, as I said, on Aldo's side, I think Aldo's going to do well here. I think there's just such a step up in competition to get to an Aldo that Zahabi's never really faced. And I think it's a real tough one where Aldo's going to be coming in experienced, knows everything that people sort of do, and you've got to be very good. Aldo in that division, sort of the tester of going like, can you really have one more fight to get into a top 5 position? And that is the truth. You know, that is where he's at. He's keeping people out of that top. You know, he's sort of top 11, top 10 in the division. I don't know exact where he is in the division currently, but really, he's, if you beat Aldo, you're next in line to get a top 5 shot, and then you're pretty much one fight away from a big contender fight, or even if it goes, you know, if there's no contenders around, even a title fight. So I think Aldo gets it. He's good enough still. He's really strong still. And he's still fast. I think he's got it against these guys who are coming up. Never faced guys of his sort of level before, and think he gets it done. I think it's a decision. I don't see it being a KO. I do think that the KO ability of Aldo sort of went partially away, maybe due to weight, but mainly, you know, maybe due to age as well, and catching people off guard. But you know, Zahabi's going to learn from this. I think that's sort of sometimes what a fighter in the UFC needs is that sort of really, you know, look, he was a championship guy. If you start beating that type of guy, it can give you a real boost. And I think learning from him, even losing against him, and learning and staying in there for the 3 rounds is a real good tester to go, where do I need to develop my skills? So I think it's good for both fighters, but I do think Aldo wins by decision. On to the next fight, Grasso versus Natalia Silva. 3 inches of reach advantage for Grasso in this fight. Big win for Natalia Silva last time out against Andrade. A strong win. Won all 3 rounds in that 3-round fight. Got the decision against you know, look, he's up there in that division. Andrade is, you know, and has been for a good while. So a good win. You know, Shevchenko, you know, great over a good 3-round, you know, 3 fights against Grasso. But I do think Shevchenko, I know they drew 1, but I think 2 and 3 were Shevchenko's fights. You know, 3rd fight, I don't see there's going to be a big play for her to get a 4th fight. I think it really did define it, going, look, you need to get her in the 1st and 2nd fights and then go, look, that's enough. Shevchenko improved and did well, and improved the game plan to go, look, I'm going to coordinate this to use more of the ground game because I know you're weaker. And that overall mix of, you know, the talent of Shevchenko helped her to get through that. I do think Natalia Silva will get this done. And it's so close in this fight. It is close. You know, I think everyone's got it quite close. You can go either way on this fight. I think the full confidence of getting these wins has helped her. And I think she'll be able to get it done. I think it's so close. Confidence is key. Silva very fast, mixes up well. Even, you know, when she was getting pressured by Andrade, she was doing well to keep moving. And I think that will help. Grasso will come with better skilled striking, but I think Silva is ready for the step up. I think she has to be. After a win against Andrade, you really have to go for a contender fight. That's all that's out there for you, and all you really ever wanted. You know, whoever wins this fight is probably going for a title shot next, especially if it's Natalia Silva. So look, I think Natalya gets it done. I think there's so little in it. I think confidence plays key. And I think confidence coming in where you haven't lost and know, look, you're going against a contender who's slightly new. Grasso's been in there for 3 fights with Shevchenko, had lots of tape on her, as in there's so much of a fight to see. I think you can probably figure out some of her weaknesses. Natalya Silva, okay, there's some weaknesses there. I don't think she beats the two people in the main event in this card, but I do think she's pretty much just below that, and I think she has time to improve. So I think she gets it done. I think it is a decision. I think they're both strong fighters on the feet, and I think they'll do well. I think there'll be a couple of like big shots from both sides in this fight, but I do think Natalya Silva just edges it out overall. On to the next fight, Shevchenko versus Fialrot. So I think Fialrot and Shevchenko beat Natalya Silva if it ever does get to that. But getting into this fight now, a tough fight for both. Both top tier strikers. Shevchenko better at mixing it up though, and this is key in this fight. Same with Grasso fight as well. Fialrot's going to be bigger in there. I think she will be. I think she's the bigger fighter in there and probably will be stronger. But I think that matters less with Shevchenko. I think Shevchenko doesn't care as much. I think she's skillful enough to make sure that isn't the difference. Fialrot over a year out of the cage. Fialrot went to the ground with Blanchfield in the last fight and was found out really there. Blanchfield sort of went, oh, you took me down. You're not good at this actually. You're trying to show you are. You're not. And Blanchfield started trying to find her out on the ground where, look, Fialrot had it done on the feet really, but Blanchfield trying to mix it up sort of scared her. And that is scary going into Shevchenko fighter who mixed up so well against Grasso last time out. Look, Fialrot's going to know that coming in. That look, I think they're pretty even on the feet, but on the ground, Shevchenko definitely has an advantage here. And the Blanchfield fight really showed that there is a gap in the Fialrot's game, and that is key. And I think it's a gap we always thought there was, but I thought her strength and her size would mean it's less pronounced, but overall, I think that's going to be the true difference. I think Shevchenko could get her down, get her on the ground, make her work to try and get back up, keep her on the ground for a couple of rounds, as and when she needs to, and it'll force her to have to go for something or be scared of defending them takedowns, which will give Shevchenko opportunities on the feet. So I think that is the key. Again, I'm giving it a decision. I'm giving so many decisions in this main card, but is Fialrot going to get knocked out? No. Could there be a submission? Maybe, but I think it's a tough one. I think actually I'm going to change that. I'm going to say submission for Shevchenko. I think there's not many a career, but this is the time when it will probably happen. On to the main event, Belal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena. I think Belal gets this done. I think over a 5-round fight, as we've seen many times out there, I think it's tough to beat him. And not that he's most exciting fighter, but to be honest, with a Jack Maddalena, it's going to be very tough for him to go 5 rounds without being taken down, and within the first 1 or 2 rounds, and then have to run in and try and go for something where he's going to have to try and stop the takedowns from that point. He's going to have to watch out for the top pressure from Belal then when he's getting a bit more confident on the feet. And that would mean that Belal gets openings upstairs, gets some punches off, gets some stuff off there, and it starts making you think too much. It's sort of less of an impact on the ground, I believe, than a Khabib, but very similar in the sense to Conor fight where he got caught with an overhand because he was thinking too much about defending the takedown because he knew he couldn't be taken down anymore. And it's exactly the problem over a 5-round fight with a Belal Muhammad. I think he's okay on the feet, but I think Jack's going to be so struggled to keep him off him and not get taken down in the first few rounds that it will mean he has to go for something sooner rather than later in that 5-round fight. He has to get a round back. He has to get, he's got 2 rounds down. He has to get a knockdown or something like that. If trying to force something against Belal Muhammad opens up more opportunities on the feet and downstairs to take him down again. I think that's the whole problem with the Belal fight. I think Jack Maddalena is good. But overall, he's going to have a big problem with someone like this in a Belal Muhammad, who's at the top of his game, is very confident as well. And I think it's a tough fight for anyone, but especially Jack Della Maddalena. I think it's going to be very tough for him to really win it, unless the only thing I can think of, Belal gets a decision. That is clear. I don't see him getting anything else than a decision, but I could see Jack getting a knockdown early or somewhere near the start of the fight, and it actually mean that it changes up fight, meaning that, look, he gets a few more opportunities, can defend the takedown, knows it in it, and this is the clear thing to beat a Belal Muhammad. You have to be up. You have to be up on the scorecards. You have to make him believe you're up to get the win. Early on, you have to be up on them scorecards to make him work, make him try and get something. But I do think Belal gets this done by decision. I could see a knockout by Jack, but it's going to be a tough one. Nevertheless, I don't see anyone who's done it yet. So, as that recently at the top level, if Leon Edwards can't, Jack probably has a bit chance currently than Leon to get the knockout of Belal. But it's a very tough one where you're getting taken down all the time. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.